Central with Bert Barron on the new Talk Radio 1450 WCTC. Call Jersey Central at 732-545-9282. Toll free at 888-545-9282. Watch Jersey Central live online at WCTCAM.com or listen on your smartphone with the iHeartRadio or TuneIn apps. Connect with WCTC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube by searching 1450 WCTC. And now, back to Jersey's Morning Show, Jersey Central with Bert Barron.
7:37, we're back inside the Ford's Jewelers Studios, and welcome back to Jersey Central on the new Talk Radio WCTC. We'll do our contest a little bit later on in this 7:30 half hour. Tickets to see comedian Jim Brewer at the State Theater in New Brunswick on September 17th, and also passes to this weekend's Soul Exchange Sneaker Convention at the Meadowlands Expo Center in Secaucus. Chance to win both prizes coming up very, very shortly. Let's get to the Raritan Bay Medical Center Jersey Newsmaker Hotline. Welcome in my special guest. He is a New Jersey resident and back with a brand new book on football called The Big Blue Wrecking Crew, Smash Mouth Football, A Little Bit of Crazy, and the 86 Super Bowl champion New York Giants. It is an absolute must-read for any football fan. And let's welcome in Jerry Barca to WCTC Radio. Jerry, good morning. It's Bert Barron. How are you?
Good morning, Bert. Thanks for having me. Happy anniversary of the show today.
3 years and counting, my man. Can you believe it? Wow.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Checking out the book here, which I just love. Take me back, Jerry. Was the Giants team the year before they won the Super Bowl? Were they any good? Were they on the verge of something spectacular the following season?
Well, the one thing I really love about this story and what the 86 Giants mean to Giants fans and really in some ways to the NFL is, you know, they were awful in the 70s. They were embarrassingly bad in the 70s, and there's this crescendo and build up to winning this Super Bowl in 86 and really being the foundation of modern Giant football. You look at the Giant organization today and they're winners. You know, they're the flagship. It wasn't that way before then. And to answer your question, in 85, they were good. They were good, but they got smoked by the Chicago Bears, who won the Super Bowl that year. In the playoffs, they lost to them. And for many of the Giants, it was sort of this wake-up call of, wow, the bar is that much different from where we are to where they are. And by the next year, they closed the gap and won the Super Bowl handily.
Yeah, nobody was going to beat the Bears that year, of course. But what was the ingredient or two that came in? Was it one or two particular players that kind of changed the makeup and said, hey, guys, we're real close to being on the verge of something really special here? Are there a couple guys that came in and kind of took the team to the next level?
Well, I think there's really, I think when you look at it, there's four major players and things that happen in the history of the Giants. One is after the fumble, the NFL commissioner had to step in because the Mara family was feuding, and he steps in and brings George Young in as a general manager. His first draft pick is a quarterback by the name of Phil Simms. And then you hire Parcells as a head coach there in 83. He almost gets fired, Bert, after 83. They're ready to bring in another coach. And because of that, because he was so close to losing his job, he really transformed himself into that Parcells that you know. I mean, when I'm going back and doing the research, the knock on Parcells when he first became the head coach of the Giants was he was too friendly with the players, too cozy. I don't think people would realize that. So you have those elements, and then, of course, you get the best defensive player ever to play the game in Lawrence Taylor. That's a pretty good foundation to lead you to a Super Bowl.
I would have never thought of Bill Parcells and cozy in the same sentence before hearing you say it now, Jerry. But just the what he had put the players through and just, such a tough guy. Just this will to win. You know, very few athletes and very few coaches have this win-at-all-cost mentality. I think of Michael Jordan and guys like that. I get that from Parcells, too, that it was about winning and he would win no matter what it took. Was that really what he was all about?
Well, that's a great point that you make because in the book, I think what people will find interesting is this is Bill Parcells in a time of transformation. I mean, at the end of 1983, and there's great detail in the book on this, he's losing. The team finishes 3-12-1. His mother died in December. Lawrence Taylor signs a contract with Donald Trump for personal services and to play in the USFL. And then George Young, the GM, is calling down to the University of Miami to get Howard Schnellenberger to see if he wants to coach the team. So the world is closing in on Parcells. And once he got the green light to start 84, there was no job security necessarily to finish 1984. he changed things, and he was going around that facility saying, "Look, if they're going to get me, they're going to get me doing it my way." And that's when you got the birth of the Parcells guys. He gathered that team at training camp and said, "Hey, look, in 1984 in July, he said, some of you are going to be here, and those that are, you're going to be with me. And if you're not with me, you ain't going to be here." And that's the birth of this. So it's exactly what you're talking about. There was one guy in the middle of it that was going to withstand the chaos and all the dynamics of the mid-'80s and the Giants in New York and say, this is going to be a winner no matter what.
Yeah, and you look back, of course, it was a once proud franchise. You go back to Frank Gifford in the 50s and the great players and whatnot, and they really fell on hard times. And I'm sure a lot of the younger football fans, long before the Mark Sanchez butt fumble, there was the Zoe Pizarczyk 360 fumble that cost the Giants a critical game against the Eagles at the old Giant Stadium, right? That I thought was the low point ever of that team.
Well, you're 100% right, and I actually start the book with the fumble and the behind-the-scenes story, and I talk to guys in the huddle when the fumble happened. I mean, basically, the Giants invented a way to lose the game. The victory formation that you see today in the NFL happened because the Giants decided to try and hand the ball off against the Eagles. Eagles had no timeouts, no way to stop the clock, and Joe Pizarczyk bobbles the snap and hands it into Larry Zonka's hip, and Herm Edwards goes running in and scores a touchdown. I mean, they invented a way to lose the game, and it was absolutely rock bottom for that team. I mean, fans reacted. They hung Wellington Mara in effigy. They had ticket burnings outside the stadium. They flew a plane up over the stadium saying 15 years of lousy football, we've had enough. I mean, that is not the Giants you think of today, and it's not even the Wellington Mara that you know is this paternalistic figure in the NFL.
Yeah, true. Jerry Barca is our guest this morning on Jersey Central. Fantastic new book called Big Blue Wrecking Crew, Smash Mouth Football, a Little Bit of Crazy, and the 86 Super Bowl champion New York Giants. I know a couple guys that played on that team. Bart Oates, who has an office right here in New Brunswick. He does a lot of work with the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Brad Benson, who owned a car dealership here in this area for a long time. Scott Bruner, also, Jerry, was he on that team also?
He was not on that team.
Okay.
So I talked to Bart Oates. I talked to Brad Benson. They are in the book. Scott Bruner, I also spoke to for the book because Scott Bruner has an interesting place. When Parcells was named coach in '83, he named Scott Bruner the starting quarterback over Phil Simms. So that's part of sort of this transformation of how things had to shake out, and Scott plays an important role in that. And he actually ended up in Denver in 1985 to sort of be a backup to John Elway, just in case anything happened there, ironically enough.
Yeah, of all teams, the one that they would beat in the Super Bowl that year, of course. My father-in-law, long before he was my father-in-law, because I was only 18 when the Giants won the Super Bowl that year, somehow he ran like a salvage yard in Morris County and somehow got tickets to the Super Bowl in Pasadena. All he had to do was get himself there and get a room. It's like you had tickets to the Super Bowl. Why would you not go? And I think he just well, I'm not going to go watch the game or anything. But just just a pinnacle moment for the Giants. And there is such a thing as ending the suffering of long fans, right, who have been waiting for years and years. And there was that moment for the Giants fans, right, Jerry?
Well, yeah, because in '86, the Giants weren't winners. And I think there was a lot of Giants fans out there used to having their heart broken, and they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. But I'll tell you this, Bill Belichick told me, and he was the defensive coordinator for the Giants on this team. He said it was one of the most gratifying things that when he was sitting next to Bill Parcells on the bus leaving the Rose Bowl in Pasadena after they had won the Super Bowl, knowing they were champions, he said, I'd never hear the words long suffering before Giants fans again.
Yeah, thank goodness, right? And managed to win a couple more along the way here with Eli Manning. And when you look back at the achievements of the team for the last 30 years, I think there's, maybe aside from the Patriots, they would love to trade 30-year histories with the Giants with a couple of Super Bowl wins and some good seasons and some great players, right?
Yeah, and they've been a class operation in the NFL as well. And 86 really is the foundation for that, because there are traces to that. George Young is the GM, then it's his friend Ernie Accorsi. Jerry Reese is the GM. He was a scout while George Young was there. I mean, there are traces of the foundation there, and even winning Super Bowls with a strong pass rush that started in 1986. The formula was there. It's such a important team to the franchise, and it's one that gets passed on to generations because what we spoke about earlier, because they were winners. They were finally winners.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main differences between the Giants and the Jets, and I'm a longtime Jets fan, was, you know what, the Giants are a very buttoned-up organization. They are a professional organization from top to bottom. The Jets, maybe a little loosey-goosey and a little, off-center on some things, but for the Giants, they got an image of being very professional and very buttoned up, and it goes right down to the players in terms of conduct and discipline, and it's a tradition and a heritage that they've continued now for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what the Jets are doing. With Todd Bowles is doing well, doing up there in Florham Park. I think that they're in a solid direction. In 1986, and this might break your heart, don't forget the Jets started out that season 10-1.
I recall.
It lost the 5 games, and then you have them losing to the Browns on everybody's dancing quarterback sacker there. Mark Gastineau
that's
getting
right.
that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against the Browns and losing out there in Cleveland.
I just felt the dagger pierce my heart again, Jerry, when you brought that up. But, man, oh, man. The book is awesome. Where can people get it, Jerry? How do they get their hands on this great book?
In any store where books are sold. I mean, in Central Jersey, hop into a Barnes & Noble and grab them. Also online anywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, even, Walmart and Target online if you like to shop there.
Awesome. One last thing for you, and I don't know if this is covered in the book or not, but recently Lawrence Taylor in a 60 Minutes interview said that what he used to do if it was, before a big home game at the old Giant Stadium, he would find out the hotel that the visiting team was staying in and send over some visitors to kind of, wear out the players and kind of get them off their game for the following Sunday. Is that true, and is that covered in the book at all?
I actually, that story I did not get in the book. It's funny. Everybody's got a Lawrence Taylor story.
Yeah,
you
true,
go up
right?
and down Route 17 in Jersey, everybody's got a Lawrence Taylor story. That's not in there, but there's plenty of the 1980s lifestyle of what it would be to be a Super Bowl champion. If what I'm saying is getting the message across here on morning radio enough, there's plenty of that stuff in the book as well.
Wonderful stuff. Jerry, congratulations on a terrific book you've put together here, and it was wonderful to speak to you today, and good luck going forward with this great book on the Giants. All right, Jerry?
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. All right, Jerry Barca, author of Big Blue Records.